Hi, my name is Jeremy Delgado. I'm a current student at Christian Brothers High School. And the reason I wanted to make this video was because I want to spread awareness about a topic that I think isn't being shared about enough by the news. And that topic is suicide. Now, see, suicide is the seventh ranked cause of death in the United States and the second ranked in the world. The rate of people who are actually committing suicide and the number of calls a month have risen by 40%, which is the highest it's ever been since 1999. Suicide hotline calls in California alone have risen from 3,400 a month to 4,700 a month. This is due to the unemployment rate rising and the amount of kids being diagnosed with depression and feeling lonely at home due to not being able to socialize with their friends. To give you an idea of how serious this is, I interviewed 3 different people to get 3 different point of views. The first person I interviewed was a teenager himself, Demarco Hodge, who is a current student at Cordova High School. The second person I interviewed was Haileigh, who is a residential counselor at the Sacramento Children's Home. The third person I interviewed was Darrel Steinberg, who is the mayor of Sacramento. The first question I asked Haileigh and Mayor Steinberg was, is mental health a concern during a lockdown?
So absolutely. Obviously for a lot of people, they're stuck at home with little social interaction. The kids I work with especially, we tell them they're going stir crazy all the time. It's also kind of terrifying right now because this could be a trigger for a lot of different mental health issues. So especially with children who are stuck in abuse cases, they're now stuck with their abusers, or even people in domestic violence situations, they're also stuck. So unfortunately, we're watching those numbers kind of rise. We've been getting a lot of calls about it. And then for many who are seeking counseling, it's actually on hold because you obviously can't meet with a counselor. So they're doing it through the phone, which is super different than sitting there talking to somebody. So fortunately, we have seen a huge change in mental health.
Have you personally seen or noticed an increase in mental health issues among teens since the stay-at-home
conversations with teens, some of them through calls like this? And yes, I hear a lot of stories that teens are having a tough time. They're struggling, right? They don't get to see their friends, their peers. They're not in their normal routine. And they can't participate in the extracurricular activities that are often more fun and interesting than school itself. And they wonder about their futures. I mean, think about high school seniors who have to make a decision about whether or not to say yes to going away to college when maybe the college is going to be virtual here in the first place. And I really have seen, and it's understandable that teens would be under a great deal of stress. And it's our job, it seems to me, to make it clear that nobody is alone. There are resources, there are hotlines, there are so many ways that you can connect with either peers or with adults, and that nobody has to go through this alone. And if there's any comfort to all of us, it's that we aren't alone, because everyone else is experiencing a very similar isolation.
Well, obviously, I can't speak for everyone. The youth I work with are anywhere from 6 to 18. So we've seen a lot of mental health issues personally with them because they're all stuck together. I work in a group home. Mm-hmm. So they're bullying each other a lot. We've had to 5150 a couple kids, which is basically sending them in for a mental health evaluation with the police. We've had a kid intake for 2 weeks. So I wouldn't say it's getting worse. It's just now they're stuck. So they don't have that escape to go to school, especially with my kids. They don't have a home. We are their home. So they're stuck with each other 24/7. So it's almost like being stuck with your bully. And then for like my sister, for example, she's a college student, and I've noticed she is also struggling a little bit because her freshman year was taken away from her. So I would just say it's like different issues for everyone, but it's definitely changed a lot for teens.
Just as a reminder for people who are watching, what are some resources for teens if they begin to feel depressed or sad or have thoughts of or intent of suicide?
So I think what we ought to do as part of this is we ought to make sure that we put all the numbers up on the screen at some point, maybe after your presentation, but there are a lot of resources. There are suicide hotlines, which, if you ever have any feeling that your life isn't worth it. Your life is worth it. But if you have that feeling, call a suicide hotline. There are also in Sacramento is a youth crisis hotline. There are warm lines throughout the state. There are a number of resources, and we will get them to you so you can post all of that as part of your video presentation, where you can reach out and there will be a caring human being on the other end to make sure that they help you and help you through it.
So there's actually a website called wellspace.org, and it's Sacramento region generally. So it lists like Auburn County, or not Auburn County, Placer County, Sacramento County, all the hotlines for suicide. So I would encourage everyone to obviously go out and find that number for your own area, because it might not be necessary for you, but for a friend. And then obviously if you ever Google a suicide hotline, there's the national hotline. It's like a national prevention hotline. And then you'll even find numbers that you can text. So I don't have it on hand, but I have a pamphlet. There's like a texting number if you're not comfortable talking on the phone. And then obviously seeking an adult that you trust, or a counselor, or anyone that can help you in that category.
So for people who are having, my bad. What are the best ways for people to stay mentally healthy during this lockdown?
So obviously now is the best time to find your coping method. We always talk about reading, writing, whatever you need to do as your own coping method, but now you're stuck at home. So now it's time to really evaluate yourself. You have the time. Look into yourself. What do you like to do? For me, it could be like journaling. I like journaling. It takes a thought out of my head and puts it on the paper, so then I can forget it, as you would say. Going for a walk, like now is the perfect time to go outside. Obviously social distance, but going outside. Even just contacting a counselor if that's what you need. I feel like there's a negative like view on counseling, and it's really great. Like I know people that would say they're perfectly fine, but they go to counseling, and it's just someone that doesn't necessarily know you, but is there to listen and not judge you. So I would just say find what is best for you right now. Now is the time.
Okay. And
I think exercise and good eating and getting a good amount of sleep every night is crucial. Just the basics. Get into an exercise routine. I mean, more people now are walking, right, than ever before. That's a really good thing. And whatever it is you like that gives you those endorphins, right, and makes you feel like you have the energy, it gives you additional energy and uplifts your mood, you should do that. And eat well. It's so easy, I think, to get into a routine, especially if you're feeling a little depressed, just to eat as a way to soothe, but make sure you eat healthy and that you're sleeping. And then maybe most importantly is don't allow yourself to get any more isolated than we all already are. In other words, get into a routine. Make sure that you have a weekly or daily check-in with a friend, with a family member. You know, I've been doing these Zoom parties with some old friends where, 10 of us will get on the line and we all just talk. We actually are talking with each other more in this period than we did otherwise, because it's hard to get together and to see each other. And so this is a time where it's important to make the extra effort to connect, not only for yourself, but for your friends and family members who are also having a tough time.
What things do you feel like must change for us to help contribute to eventually ending this lockdown?
Right now, I feel like just taking the direction and listening. A lot of it seems absurd, and you're kind of like, this just seems extra. Why are we wearing face masks? Why are we wearing gloves? They are doing this for a reason. They're not trying to hurt us. They don't want us to go crazy. No one knows what's going on. So just listen to what they're saying and do the best you can, and eventually we'll come out of it.
Okay.
Just have one final message for all of you.
All right.
I was in your guys' shoes 6 years ago, and just know that it's not the end of the world. It feels like the end of the world. It's easy to say that, and mental health is real, but the next day will happen, and it feels hard at that time, but you're going to get through it. You're going to graduate high school. You're going to college. You're going to graduate college. You're going to do well in the Army. You're going to do well, whatever you're going to do. you're going to do it. You just have to keep believing that, because I remember being your guys' age and like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't go to college. I can't do this. And now I'm working on my master's. Like, I never thought I'd be there, but it happens. You just got to keep getting through day by day. And like I said, find those coping methods and find that person you can rely on to help you get through it. But yeah.
I know about the how we're going to start the phases, but what things must change for us to begin ending it even more than it already is, if you know what I'm talking. If you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So this is the hardest question, because everybody desperately wants to get back to school, to get back to work, and there are a lot of people that are hurting out there. I mean, and when it comes to just being able to pay the bills, that's really real. And at the same time, this virus has not gone away. It is true that we are doing well in Sacramento, but there are parts of the country and the state that are not doing quite as well. And the concern is that if we go too fast, that there's going to be a big spike, more people are going to get sick, more people are going to die, and then the orders will be longer and maybe even more restrictive. And so what's the answer to that? The answer is to start moving forward, but slowly. Today, for example, they're opening, you can open retail as long as you provide whatever the person is buying curbside. Some small manufacturing, some childcare. If we do well through this, and some of the counties that have been allowed kind of on a trial basis to go even further, like with the restaurants, if they do okay and there isn't a spike, then that'll be expanded to our county and to other larger counties. And if we do well there, then we're going to be able to continue to go. Now, nobody is expecting that this thing is going to be stamped out in that way. And we're going to have to tolerate, if you will, some additional infections, but it's the degree of the infection and whether or not we can keep it relatively stable. So it's a very tough time without a lot of objectivity here in terms of saying yes on this date we're gonna open. There are indicators, and we're following them very closely. We're doing well in Sacramento. We've got to start reopening, but it has to be done in a way that is safe for everybody.
The first question that I asked Demarco Hodge was, how is quarantine affecting you both mentally and physically?
I would say mentally, it's been taking a toll on me. I would have these spurts where I feel depressed, where I feel low, where I feel weak, and I'd be thinking to myself, I've been doing everything wrong. Most certainly self-doubting myself mostly every day. And I would say physically, me and my family dealing with this coronavirus, we've been out going to the river that's right down my street. So we've been exercising, getting jogs in and runs in. So we've been exercising, trying to stay fit and healthy for this coronavirus.
The next question I asked him was, how has this isolation affected his family life and his social life?
I would say mentally, it's been taking a big toll on me. You know, not being able to see my grandma, my grandpa, not able to see my friends that I talk to on a regular basis. You know, it's been quite depressing for me mentally. I've been taking the toll down. I've been self-doubting myself. I've been often pretty sad, and I felt often bored at home for these past couple months. And I would say physically, I've been getting into shape. My family and I both dealing with the crisis right now. We've been going to the river down the street from us, and we've been staying in shape. We've been walking, we've been jogging, we've been running, and just all coming together and getting that exercise in to stay healthy for this virus.
The last question I asked him was, what advice do you have for kids who are struggling at home with mental health issues?
I would say be strong. After hearing all of this stuff on the news, it's been very sad, very depressing to hear about these young people taking their lives of the quarantine and how the virus has affected everybody. So I would say be strong. And I want you to keep moving forward because we're all in this together. We can do this.